Hey, what's up, everyone? Reactceptionist here. Today, I'm going to be checking out Molly Sanborn, who I'm not familiar with as a reactor. She's going to be listening to Frizzle Fry by Primus for the very first time. I remember when this album came out. It was not like anything anybody had ever heard. It was groundbreaking to say the least, but like the thing about Primus was they were not afraid to just, kind of suck maybe a little bit. I mean, like that was their whole thing was Primus sucks. They kind of were like ironic about it. That was like how Primus fans identified each other. They'd be like Primus sucks. But this should be good. Again, I don't know anything about this Molly Sanborn, but just looking at the still here, she reminds me of Freaks and Geeks. Lizzie's like mathlete friend that she was no longer hanging out with, because she was trying to hang out with like the freaks and no longer be a mathlete and a square A student. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's get into the video.
It's like totally controlled chaos. That's how I would describe their sound. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Frizzle Fry by Primus. Now I'm really looking forward to checking this album out. A lot of you have been suggesting Primus for a long time now here on my channel, and to the extent of my knowledge I have not heard any of Primus's music. So I figured why not start off my...
Oh, this is going to be good. First of all, the Himalayan salt lamp, A+, love it. And, now hearing her talk and kind of her demeanor, she reminds me even more of the friend from Freaks and Geeks.
Primus journey with their debut studio album Frizzle Fry that they released in 1990, and just see what I'm in for with this one. Okay, starting Frizzle Fry off is track 1 called To Defy the Laws of Tradition.
That little ding to ding ding ding, that was a reference to oh Jesus, it's a Rush song. I can't believe I'm blanking on it because I've listened to a lot of Rush in my life, which Primus definitely also listened to a lot of Rush. It's very clear. Anyhow.
Man, I love that tone that I'm hearing. It's so deep and rich. It
YYZ is the name of the song. It was an instrumental.
almost sounds like a cello. Man, I absolutely love the groove they have going. It has this amazing jazz vibe to it.
But surely bring
Man, this is making me want to go back and listen to Frizzle Fry. My first exposure to Primus was the video for John the Fisherman. I saw it on MTV like at like 2 a.m. one time, and it just blew me away. Mostly because I'm a drummer, and hearing Larry Lalonde was the guitarist. They've gone through a couple drummers, so I'm kind of blanking. But anyways, like it was clear he was from the Neil Peart School of Drumming, but like it was just incredible. I liked Les Claypool, and I liked like the song writing, and they're writing about completely like kind of everyday things. Like, this guy was just like a fisherman and he loved fishing. You just didn't hear stuff like that. Everything at that point was kind of like Dungeons and Dragons lyrics, or like, you know, about hell and stuff like that. And, you know, Primus just comes out of it and they're just like, oh, this dude likes to race cars and this guy likes to fish. And, you know, everything was just so weird about him. I loved it.
The laws of tradition.
And now the vocals are like right up, like they're next to my ear.
Suppose attacks mine, he comes to down.
This is such an interesting song. I'm just really absorbed in everything going on. Like, you have that amazing rich tone from the instrumentals, and there's something so freeform and relaxed about it, but then there's also such a rhythmic structure to it as well.
Who's gonna go to hell?
Well, that was track 1, To Defy the Laws of Tradition, and that was officially my introduction to Primus. A very playful track. At times, that one was definitely reminiscent of the likes of Mr. Bungle, something like that, just very experimental with its sound. The instrumentals to that one just had such an amazing tone, such a clear richness to them. And his vocals, too, at times when it was those talking vocals, it was really up close to my ear. It's like they brought the sound forward almost, just really interesting dynamics going on. All right, up next is track 2, which is called Groundhog's Day.
I like her analysis. You know, she claims in the video description that she's not a musical expert, and you know, her opinions are subjective. But I like her observations. You know, it's kind of even more interesting than hearing, you know, professional vocal coach reacts to Les Claypool or whatever. You know, there's plenty of those types of videos out there. But I kind of like a layman's take on things.
When I woke up this morning, I found the pie.
And it's kind of weird when, you know, videos like this skip around, but you know, it's happening this way for a couple of reasons. One, it's probably not that interesting to just like watch someone listen to, you know, I mean, the whole album is probably like 40 to 50 minutes, I would imagine. That would be a long ass video. Another reason is copyright issues. You know, if you kind of chop it up like that, I think mainly she's just kind of looking for like these moments where visually, you know, she was like, something was striking her. And then, you know, like I was saying about the copyright, you know, I think if you chop it up and there's not long enough sections of any one song, then I think that might kind of like be a workaround for the filters.
See, again, this song, it's like fallen into a groove, sort of. There's such a relaxedness to it.
Satisfied. Drizzle from the night, left the cold puddles out.
Man, I love Larry Lalonde as a guitarist. He apparently like took lessons from Joe Satriani. And, you know, he's like kind of the antithesis of, you know, a virtuoso. He plays, you know, outside of the key a lot. He does, you know, kind of weird chord structures. And I don't know, like something about it just like is so compelling to me personally. Allegedly, he auditioned. Was it? No, I know Les Claypool auditioned for Metallica after Cliff Burton died, which is kind of just hilarious to think about. But I feel like Larry Lalonde, he had something to do with Kirk Hammett. Like maybe they're just buddies or they both took lessons from the same guy. But I don't know. To me, San Francisco in the late 80s and the 90s, like all my favorite thrash bands were coming out of there. And then all of a sudden, just like Primus, it was like unlike anything. And they were like super heavy, you know, and just weird. And it's interesting, you know, like I think the Mr. Bungle comparison is not completely off, but it's funny that she keeps kind of talking about like a looseness when to me like Primus was like the tightest band ever.
Yeah, and again with the talking style of vocal delivery on this one, it's very unique. Definitely not what I was expecting going into this album. I love how present that bass is. Man, it's really shining through. It's giving this song almost a bounciness, like this really elasticy quality. That was track 2, Groundhog's Day. Listening to that, I almost felt like I was sitting in a coffee shop or something, listening to this small indie jazz band just kind of freestyle on stage. It just had that quality to it. I don't know, even though they were bringing a lot of energy to that one, their songs are kind of pulled in. They have this almost intimate sound to them, which I'm really enjoying. And that bass and all of those other instrumentals just were really shining through, and they had this amazing, smooth butteriness almost to their tone. But I'm going to continue on with track 3, which is called Too Many Puppies.
Oh, this album is so good.
I'm sorry to make a comment this early, but the beginning reminds me of Gently by Slipknot with that bell.
Too many puppies. A big shot in the dark. Too many puppies.
At times he brings so much energy to his vocal delivery, but then he'll pull it in and there's almost this more talking vocal style that he does.
Too many puppies. Too many puppies.
One of my first bands was called Shed 34. I want to say I was probably like 20, 19, 20. We first of all, we all met. We were a trio like Primus, like Rush, and we happened to just all work at Pizza Hut delivery, and we all loved the same bands, and we happened to like be a guitarist, a drummer, and a bassist, and yeah, we did Too Many Puppies. It was awesome.
I'm sure there's a deeper metaphorical meaning to these lyrics, but I just imagined a puppy holding a machine gun. Just such odd lyricism. Well, that was track 3, Too Many Puppies. Certainly an interesting one. Yet again, Primus is definitely bringing a very unique quality to their tone and everything and their style. I haven't really heard a band that sounds like this before. With that one, I really loved the stopping and starting. Like they would make it so restrained at times, and then they would bring a surge of energy. And then toward the end there, the drums just brought so much power to it. And I really liked how rapidly they were.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she was right that metaphorically there's a deeper meaning. You know, take a lyric like "Too many puppies with guns in their hand," "Too many puppies in foreign lands." You know, obviously, like those are allusions to you know, imperialism or just you know, war in general. that was a great thing about Primus. Like, I love bands like that kind of, if you can kind of peel back this layer of weirdness, then you're rewarded with these subversive observations and philosophical musings, yada yada.
Were being played. But moving on to track 4 is Mr. Know-It-All.
They call me Mr. Know-It-All. I will not compromise. I shall not step aside. They call me Mr. Know-It-All. I have no time to waste, and I've such elegant...
That was awesome. That little instrumental flourish they just did when he said taste. Yeah, again, the drums here. I love that tone from them. They're so thunderous.
Tim Herb Alexander, like, how I could forget that guy's name for even 2 seconds. It just shows that I'm old as hell. But, I mean, the dude, for me as a drummer, I was hooked instantly. Primus. I mean, what can you say? Like, it's kind of weird how they've sort of become kind of like a jam band adjacent kind of thing. Les Claypool has done a lot of, like, he did the Pink Floyd band, and he's done a lot of weird stuff. But the first, like, 2 Primus albums, like, he could have died after those and he'd still be a fucking legend.
Mr. Know-It-All, I sup the aged wine.
Oh man, now there's like a distortion on the guitar, I think it is. It's got this fuzzy sound.
Perfection is my middle name, and whatever rhymes with eloquent.
I like when she gives one of those, like, this still right here is great. That really could be a screenshot. Like, she's just listening, but she just looks so pensive.
That was track 4, Mr. Know-It-All. I loved the punchiness of that one. It definitely had this really aggressive edge to it, kind of like these short, sharp bursts of sound. The vocals were very unique on that one. It almost sounded like he was speaking over a megaphone or something. They had this really interesting distortion or effect that they were using on them. But I'm going to continue on with track 5, which is the title track, Frizzle Fry.
Hello, all you boys and girls, but never fear, you're safe with me.
Why do I feel like I would definitely not be safe with him? There's almost an ominous tone to this song. All right, we've got those amazing drums again.
This time they might take him away.
I'm loving the very subtle echoiness on the vocals too. It's almost making this song have this amazing atmospheric quality to it.
It may just take us all away. I do believe in Candy Crush, for I am the Frizzle Fry.
I don't believe in Captain Crunch because I am the Frizzle Fry. Again, just odd lyricism.
Well, I mean, it is after this barrage of, like, this list of things that he doesn't believe in, so.
Man, just so much speed all of a sudden. That was track 5, Frizzle Fry. The beginning of that one had this really pulled in, kind of tension-filled atmosphere. Like they used that slight echoiness. It almost sounded like he was in this big open chamber or something. And then it was like throughout that track, they built it up. And then toward the end there, man, it just got so speedy when that electric guitar and everything came in. Moving on to track 6 is John the Fisherman.
Yeah, this is the one that started it all for me.
1, 2.
There's all of these interesting effects that they're using on these instrumentals. Like at the beginning there was some sort of distortion on the guitar. It gave it this really odd tone.
It really makes sense that that was the first single. You know, like this song kind of has a little more of a melody to it. You know, it's kind of has like probably the most, you know, kind of traditional, what do I want to say? Just kind of, you know, song structure and arrangement. It's got hooks.
Just there with the percussion, it almost sounded like someone knocking on a door. I love how their vocalist delivers some words with so much punchiness. There's almost like this growliness to his voice, and then he'll pull it back and it has this more steady, almost talking-esque delivery to it. Well, that was track 6, John the Fisherman. Such a playfulness with that one, with the instrumentals and everything. Again, that bass was really shining through. Absolutely loved the tone of that. The vocals are staying pretty consistent and steady throughout most of this record. He'll bring a little bit of that growly power to his vocal delivery at times, but overall he keeps it this sort of steady, like I said, almost talking-esque style of vocal delivery, and then the instrumentals are kind of doing their craziness all around that. But moving on to track 7 is You Can't Kill Michael Malloy. Okay, I guess that was like a little interlude-ish style track, but that was track 7, You Can't Kill Michael Malloy. Just under 30 seconds long, very short. It kind of had like this circus theme sound to it. It almost sounded like it was intended to be an introduction into this next song, so I'm just going to continue on with track 8 called The Toys Go Winding Down. The sudden tonal change.
An overage boy of 39 has left the wing today. The first time in his life he's made that step. That's why winding down. The puck's gonna.
Yeah, I think what I really liked lyrically was, you know, just kind of these stories about random people, you know, just kind of like the everyday person and finding the profound in the mundane kind of thing. And, you know, like he really could paint a picture of just, you could really imagine these characters, you know, living with their parents and, you know, just being these kind of odd people, maybe on drugs, you know, just characters. And Les Claypool just did a great job of bringing these people to life.
He's a friend of mine. It's pudding time. It's pudding time. Love toys.
This song is a fascinating blend of playful jazziness and just morbid darkness at the same time. There's something like weirdly sinister about its tone.
For sure. Especially with the, you know, as she described, circus-like, you know, interlude, kind of introduction.
Winding down.
He's using a bow on the bass.
That was track 8, The Toys Go Winding Down. I think that one might be my favorite one yet on this album. Just an amazing heaviness to it. That one was a little bit more slowed down too. It kind of had this sinewy, like winding atmosphere to it. That distortion that they were using on, I think it was the bass throughout that track, again, it just kind of added this steadiness to the whole thing. And it was like it was kind of sucking you down, and it had that deep, rich quality to it. All right, moving on to track 9 is Pudding Time. Dang, that's an impressive vocal delivery. How rapid he was saying those words.
That MF was spitting.
I'm loving this pluckiness too from the guitar, the way they're playing it.
Spotty type children.
It's like totally controlled chaos. That's how I would describe their sound.
I think that's a good description.
That was track 9, Pudding Time. A very speedy track, that's for sure. I loved his vocal delivery at the very start. It was so quick. It almost had like this hip-hop essence to it with how quickly he was saying those words. And the instrumentals had an amazing speediness to them as well. Kind of like this loose punchiness, if that makes sense. But continuing on with track 10 is Sathington Willoughby, if I'm saying that right.
We are gathered here today in these majestic halls of old to honor a man named Gosselington, that planned the use of certain things like this and that.
I mean, you can tell that Les Claypool, you know, was a man of the sea and a fisherman. You know, some of these songs definitely have kind of a sea shanty, you know, quality to them. It really reminds me of some friends of mine had a jug band called what the fuck? Oh goddamn, I can't believe I'm blanking. But they did a lot of like sea shanties and like old time classic songs, and even the singer's voice kind of was similar to Les Claypool's in certain ways. This is not helping at all, but the sea shanty aspect is really the only thing you need to take away from this particular comment.
This and that. This and that. This.
Okay, so that was like another really short kind of interlude style track, but that was track 10, Sathington Willoughby. Very interesting tone to that one. It almost sounded like they were using that cello a tiny little bit in the background. I was picking up on that. And then at the end, it kind of had that echoey quality and it just faded into the next track. So I'm just going
It was the Meat Skin Jubilee Jug Band.
to continue on with track 11 called Spaghetti Western.
Ah, that drum beat is so sick.
I love how spread out this song sounds with that guitar tone. It's got this amazing, almost Deftones-esque reverb going on.
Every night vegetables. Mine's numbed by THC. Funny thing about weekends when you're unemployed, they don't mean quite so much. I like the way the
I still think about that lyric from time to time, and many times throughout my life. You know, like that's why Les Claypool and his lyrics were just so relatable. You know, like I said, he would like spin these tales and do these like character studies and kind of bring these people to life. And then other times it'd be from like the first person, like this song, and he's just kind of like stream of consciousness, just kind of like rambling, like sounding like someone on drugs. And, you know, like as a musician, you kind of have different hours, and, you know, like a lot of times, you might have a day job, but like sometimes you don't, and sometimes you just kind of like get by and do whatever you need to do between gigs. And so when he says funny thing about weekends is they don't, when you're unemployed, they don't mean quite so much. And I don't know, it's just like, to me that kind of is the epitome. I think that's the lyric I think about from Primus more than anything.
Boots are all reverbed out walking across the hardwood floor.
He just said something about he likes the way the boots are all reverbed out, and I just mentioned that about the reverb on this song.
I mean, that's the thing right there, like Larry Lalonde can just like sound like he has no concept of what the key is. And then there's other times where he just like wails and, as good as any guitarist you could think of. And I don't know, like he's like, to me, he's like one of the most creative guitarists I could think of.
His vocals are really pushed in the background here too. Like that bass and the percussion are way more up front and they're kind of drowning out the vocals. That guitar is so high with its tone. Well, that was track 11, Spaghetti Western. I loved how upfront the bass was on that track. Primus definitely does not shy away from bringing the bass front and center, which I love. And that song, there was something almost drawn out about it. It kind of had this more smooth, kind of slowed down quality at times. Like with the vocals, it was a little bit more drawn out. It almost gave it this sort of atmospheric quality. But
It's really cool watching people who don't know the personalities involved, and like she doesn't appear to know who Les Claypool is, and so when you hear a comment like it's cool the way that the bass is brought so far into the forefront, I mean, for people who know who Les Claypool is, it's like duh, obviously, but I don't know. It's just kind of fascinating to watch somebody, just absorb this and in real time give their thoughts. And she's really just kind of reiterating what everybody else knows, And so I think she's a great reactor, personally. It's interesting to just watch someone describe music in non-musical terms, but she also does have some musical terms. I don't know, great job.
up next is track 12 called Herald of the Rocks.
It was a if I had sex in my breath, I had me. Call that swamp a bone. If we can bring a friend, his name is Harold. Now we had a swamp. Rainy.
Their ability to go from these really powerful deliveries and then they just kind of switch it off and they fall into this really laid back sort of jazzy atmosphere. It's incredible how they go back and forth with such ease.
This guy's pretty bizarre, Gus.
Right, that was an interesting change up. We had that punchy guitar solo all of a sudden, and now it's like it's fallen down into this really slowed down, almost sultry sounding bridge.
So held a body, dropped it through late one night. I said,
Yeah, it's stuff like that. Their music is so different. It's just so unique. All of the little things they're doing, very playful and very unexpected, that's for sure.
my hand. and walked away. It's the last scene of Harold. So in the end, Swamper and Greenie finally succumbed to the ways of Harold. What a couple of dumb shits.
That was track 12, Herald of the Rocks.
God,
that one,
so
it was like
fucking
you were
good.
descending up and down through all these different levels. It was so pulled in and minimalistic at times. And then they would just bring a surge of energy all of a sudden, like with that guitar solo about halfway through that track, I think. That just brought so much energy to its sound. Very comical yet again with the lyricism too. It definitely sounds like Primus doesn't take themselves too seriously as a band and they're actually like having fun making this music. That's kind of coming off in the sound. Like it just has this amazing sort of laid back, playful quality about it that I really appreciate. But moving on is track 13 called To Defy. Well, that was track 13, To Defy, another short one on this album. An amazing crashing quality to it, though. I loved the percussion. It just had this really grandiose sound to it. But I'm going to continue on to the final song on Frizzle Fry, which is track 14 called Hello Skinny / Constantinople.
Skinny was born in a bathtub, and he grew so incredibly thin. I drop him, sucked him in.
There's something so ominous about this song, almost threatening with its tone. That was a cool little percussive flair just there.
Found a Hello Dolly record in the house.
Okay, that was just a sudden tone change. I'm wondering if this is the switch off from Hello Skinny now into Constantinople. I love this sound right here. It's got such a pluckiness to it. Well, that was track 14, Hello Skinny / Constantinople. A very interesting way to bring this album to a close. It was almost like two tracks in one. It was split down the middle. The first half of that song was very dark and sort of ominous with its tone. There was something about it that almost made your skin crawl. Like even the lyrics he was saying, there was something just very demented and dark about them. And then we had the switch up about halfway through where it went into Constantinople and there was like a total shift in tone. And it became a lot speedier and almost like an urgency, like you were running after something. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to Frizzle Fry, the debut studio album from the band Primus. This thing was absolutely loaded with variety. Just the sheer amount of sounds and everything that they were creating was incredible. They did a fantastic job somehow making their music sound very intimate and kind of closed in, but then they would bring so much power and energy at certain points as well. I loved track 4, Mr. Know-It-All. That one brought that more punchy element to their sound. Also track 8, The Toys Go Winding Down, I think was my favorite one on this whole album. It brought a level of suspense to it and it kind of had this more drawn out, sinister quality to its tone. And I also want to shout out the final track, Hello Skinny / Constantinople. The first half of that, Hello Skinny, was also a favorite of mine. Again, it kind of had like a darker tone from them, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, Frizzle Fry, this entire album was absolutely wild to listen to, and I'm so glad you all kept recommending Primus to me down in the comments. Definitely let me know if you want me to do more of their albums here on the channel, and yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I pretty much agree. You know, her assessment I think was pretty spot on. And you know, albums in the '90s and like the late '80s were kind of interesting because, like, a lot of times they would, you know, kind of be like front loaded, and then like kind of the second half of the album would kind of like veer into being a little more experimental, and you know, like the tracks weren't quite as defined. Um, this album was interesting because it had so many of those like just short little interludes, but the production is so much better than I remember, and I mean, it's been a long time since I listened to this album, and hearing, you know, it all chopped up like this really has me wanting to just go back and listen to it. And especially Sailing the Seas of Cheese, that was my favorite album, I would have to say. Uh, like a funny story is I worked for this roofing crew one time, and you know, this guy, like, kind of alternative music was first just kind of like starting to happen, and my friends and I, we were kind of into like thrash metal, and but you know, then like bands like Primus were starting to happen and stuff, and this dude, you know, was just like, oh, you guys only like this shit because it's weird and like, you know, whatever. Like, he just like was like into AC/DC and, you know, Cinderella, and just kind of like still kind of like hair metal. And but then he heard the song "Those Damn Blue Collar Tweakers," and he himself was a blue collar tweaker. Like, this dude would show up, you know, geetered out, and he heard that lyric. It was like, friend of mine, he hung drywall, he hung it mighty quick. A trip or two to the blue room would help him do the trick. And like, he just all of a sudden was like, Primus was like his favorite band of all time. And again, that kind of goes back to like just the relatability, and like Les Claypool just seemed like a dude that you knew, you know. Anyhow, great reaction. You should go check out what was her name again? Molly Sanborn. Great job, Molly. Everyone else, we'll see you in the next video.